Welcome to another episode of That Crazy Triangle Guy. As the title indicates, this episode will take a look at the Bitcoin worst case scenario for the coming days, weeks, and months, and later on in the video, a more realistic price prediction that I think is more likely. Both, however, are very plausible as well as a slew of other scenarios, so keep that in mind. Uh, First, let's look here at the Bitcoin weekly chart, and I have the Gaussian channel up on the screen. So I'll do that. Now, in the past, after the all-time high, Bitcoin has fallen back into the Gaussian channel time after time again, out the bottom of the channel in the red zone, then towards the end of the red zone, back up into the channel, out the top to retest the top of the channel shortly thereafterwards. It did it back in 2015-16 and here again in 2018, 2019. Exact same pattern with slight differences. So here we are in 2022, 23 with the exact same pattern going on. Now let's take a look at the key differences that have happened in the past. Back in 2016, we had a move of about 200% from the bottom of from the bottom to our first high here. It's 205% roughly, and then we had a pullback of about 25% back down to the bottom of the channel, 27%. Roughly, I'm just doing this very quickly. It's not being very precise. Then, here in 2019, we had a 300% move from the bottom to the top here. That's over 300%. And then a much greater move back down to the top of the channel of about 45%. That is why I think it's ridiculous when I hear people talk about a 40% pullback here in 2023. I think it'll be more similar to what happened in 2026. That was a 200% move. Now, what I've predicted here for 2023 is the worst case scenario that I see is that we stay trading. I gotta turn this off. We stay trading in between the mean band and the top of the Gaussian channel for the next 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, the whole entire month of May. We just stay here droning on and on and on, shaking, boring people and shaking out a lot of the investors before finally making that move to the top of the channel. Now the move, as I've predicted here, is about a 150% move. I'm sorry. I'm measuring the wrong thing here. From the bottom is a 150% move. Approximately from there to there. Not even quite 100. Actually, if we went to 38,000, the bars don't quite extend all the way up there, but I think around 38,711 is a valid prediction. It ties in with a lot of resistance and support levels back here. So that is about 150% move to 38,711, and a pullback from there to the top of the Gaussian channel that I've estimated here on the extending onward here on the weekly chart is about 23-24%. So that is very well within the realms of reality. And this also, these movements, these gains and pullbacks are very similar to what I realistically predict. This is the worst case scenario where we stay in this channel, and it also gets us to where a lot of people are talking about coming back down to 25,200. This is the case where that could happen because that's where this white horizontal line is, and trading up and down within this channel would eventually get us there before moving upwards. Now, what does that mean on the daily chart? So let's go look at that. Also, before we move on, I also want to note that this move that I'm postulating also keeps us in trading in this parallel channel that we've been trading in since November, and takes us right around to the top of the channel here. So let's move on to the daily chart. And what does that mean for the daily chart? Well, that means I've carried over the, first of all, carried over the weekly bar pattern that I've copied from another area in the chart, and estimated the Gaussian channel here continuing forward from where we're at today. And what would happen with the scenario I postulated earlier is that Bitcoin price would then fall back into the daily Gaussian channel, which is fine because the channel is moving upwards. So we're actually falling sideways into it and slightly downward to get us to that 25,002 target. And naturally, that move would then trigger a move upward back through the top of the channel. Now, we've done this over and over and over again in the past, and I'll take it back to not here, but further back to 2017, where on our big move upward, we fell back into the channel out the bottom and back up through many, many times here. So that action is well established. And there's not really much else to talk about here other than the recent move that we had, the dump we had last night. I don't know if I should talk. Well, I'll bring it up now. The move we had last night actually brought us right down to the top of the Gaussian channel on the daily chart. Zoom way in here. It brought us right down. My purple line is in the way, but that's where we hit the top of the channel and bounced off of it. So we'll have to see what happens today and in the days to come, because I believe that we will avoid falling back into this channel for now. I think it's a worst case scenario that if we fall back in, if we did fall back in, we would continue on sideways and downwards through the channel and back up, and it would fulfill everybody's scenario of hitting 25,200 and so on and so forth. So let's look on the monthly chart what this means. Now on the monthly chart, I've added some other candles here. Um, Actually, this has nothing to do with what we talked about earlier. However, I just wanted to show uh, worst case scenario on the monthly time frame, and I see us trading in this huge ascending triangle. It goes back to 2018, 2019. Sure, we popped out of it a little bit here, but we had a lot of resistance at this level, and could very well have resistance here in the future. Um, that's where the price action brings us in this channel that is pulled over from the other charts. Now, worst case scenario is that we stay in this triangle till the very end, over all the way through. Maybe pop out here around March of next year a little bit, come back down into the triangle, and just really continue sideways up and down action all the way through 2023 and into 2024 after the halving, before finally breaking out, and then breaking out back up to 200,000 or so. But that would be way off in March of 2025. So this is just a total whatever. Not that, I mean, nobody has any way of predicting what's going to happen this far out in the future. I just wanted to paint a worst case scenario on the monthly chart. So that's it for our worst case scenario. Now let's move on to what I think is more realistic and what will happen in the days, weeks, and months to come. Now, here on the daily chart, I've extended the Gaussian channel, and as noted earlier, we came right down earlier today. You can see it better here, that we bounced off of the top of the Gaussian channel. And earlier last week, or when was that? 25th of April or so, around there, we did wick down into the channel and were able to stay out of it, as we didn't fully enter it. And here we're bouncing off of it, which gives me, further inkling that we'll keep heading upwards, as I've indicated with this bar pattern that I've copied from another part of the chart and pulled over here. And that would get us up to our range, actually, over here, about 38,000. This will probably go up a little bit higher, I believe, to 38,711. And but that's all we need to see here on the daily chart. Let's move on to the weekly chart, where this also falls more in line of what we've done in the past. In the past, when we've moved through this channel and we've stayed above the mean band, we've quickly moved to the top of the channel and out the channel. And that's what we did back here in 2019, and also in 2015, 16. We didn't stay in the channel a long time. Here initially in 2016, we shot right through and fell back into the channel, then back out. But there was no extended period in the top of this channel. I don't think that's realistic. I think 25.2 is come and gone. We're not going back there anytime soon. I think this is more realistic of what will happen in the next month. Sell in May and go away, or whatever the saying is anybody following that advice is probably is really going to get screwed. Well, you know what? Actually, not. If they did, they could probably get back in here at this. They just missed this huge move here. Um, so yeah, they might not miss out. Anyway, this is just an estimate of what could happen and what has happened in the past that we bust out of the Gaussian channel um, before the red zone ends and then come back into the channel after it turns green. Here it was quite a bit further after it turned green. Actually, initially, we did come right back down and retest the top of the channel here. How much of a move was that, by the way? Let's see. Out of the top of the channel, we just went up about 22% and then came back down. So I didn't consider that option, but that's something to think about too. What would that look like over here uh, if we moved up? You know, that is very plausible. Uh, so we could very well just come up here to about the middle of May, come back down real quickly, and then continue upward. And as I'm thinking about that, I like that idea a lot better than what I've drawn here. Anyway, we'll see what happens, but it leads us to the same place. So we may come back up here, back down, and retest around 29,000, around the level that we're trading at now. And it would also over here be the same level that we've had a lot of support and resistance here. So I like that idea a lot better. I'm going to have to redraw these candles. And then we move upward uh, as as shown here to 56,000 $56,000 range. Um, and let's take some measurements possibly here. You know what? We don't need to do that. Um, but one thing I want to show. Well, we'll leave that. We'll leave that like that for now. Could have a possible good-looking scenarios here in the next couple weeks that we come up 20%, come right back down, and then continue onwards and upwards, or a more extended move like this. Now, I want to take some measurements here first from the bottom. If we were just to move about 20%, that would be about 140, and then come back down to the top of the channel for about an 18% move, 19% move, 20%. So that's very reasonable considering the in the past those the two big moves. The first one was 200%. We pulled back about 25. The second one in 2019 was 300%, but we pulled back about 45% from that. Here would be under 150%, and then with a 20% pullback is very reasonable to consider. Anyway, I better hurry up with this. So probably going on for a bit too long. So let's move on to the monthly uh, look here. And you know what? Before I do so, let's go back to the weekly because I did draw some trend lines here. um, which support what I'm talking about. This is trend lines that I've drawn off of the 2016 move from the 2015 bottom. Initially, uh, we followed this trend line upwards and sideways with a more in the start of the bull run with a steeper trend line in the latter half of the bull run. So I've made copies of these lines here, and we can pull them over to 2023, and it matches pretty good of the what I'm thinking that we're going to do. And you know what? Let's take this line and move it over to. Well, this is a little bit different because we did come up quite a bit and down quite a bit, but anyway, it's kind of similar. That's a little bit of a different action. It was more volatile back then. We're having less volatility, believe it or not, although it seems at times pretty volatile. This is uh, pretty restrained for compared to moves that Bitcoin has made in the past. So this one I will move over on the monthly chart. Let's go to the monthly chart now. And here we have that same big triangle. We've already moved this over to here. And if we, so I've drawn targets over here. And rather than stay in the triangle all the way till the end, this indicates that we would move out more rapidly. This arrow, which I've taken from here, um, that's in June of 2024. So just over a year from now, and puts us at a target of uh, just about $230,000. Um, and then this other target, which I've taken from here, puts us at over $600,000. That seems a bit extreme of a move uh, to be in a year from now, and it's very reasonable to consider that this target isn't a more immediate target, but rather um, would be something to look at later on down the road, like in 2027. So if I pull this trend line from the latter half of, yes, this is 2017. If I pull that from the latter half and connect it to my white X there, you can see that it pretty much matches the predictions that these arrows predict. If I could say predict one more time, that would be nice. And so it's very reasonable in a year from now that we are at a target of 230,000 and traveling maybe up here. Maybe we retest back down here. Who knows what we're going to do. So that is why you don't sell your Bitcoin, Laura. Anyway, um, that's about it. That's all I have for the video today. So I have a lot more insightful and thought-provoking chart analysis in the future. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take a look at the Bitcoin dominance uh, chart and altcoin predictions. Now, I was thinking about doing this. I was looking at the Bitcoin dominance several days ago, and since then, I saw a terrible analysis by a Bitcoin maxi, who I particularly like for a lot of the statistical analysis that he does, but he really missed what was going on in the chart because of his prejudice, his Maxi prejudice. And so I will set the record straight in my next video. So if you want to be sure to catch that when it comes out, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with others. And we'll see you next time.